Good morning, everybody. Workout number 2. This is going to be a workout with 10 new exercises. Remember, our first exercise for KKJ number 1, we did 10 exercises in one workout. We focused on our flexibility, our warm-up, our trunk rotation, our shoulders, our hips. These are basic joint stability exercises, and we'll continue those with 10 new workouts. You're not going to read them here, but I will have them posted down below in the description. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. We are going to focus on balance and core strength. That's what the gist of all of this is, all right? It's balance and it's core strength, and with those things, you have to have joint stability. And so we work on our joint stability, we work on the smaller muscle groups, and that's what helps us build the foundation for balance and strength regardless of our age. We're gonna blow through these. I'm gonna do one set of each, but we're going to be doing 3 total sets during this workout. So whatever I do in this video, you are going to do that one set and then 2 more. So we'll add on to those, right? All right, so for exercise number 1, what we're gonna do is the body weight squat or resistance band squat. So I'm going to demonstrate using my own body weight, the appropriate squat. All right, we want to keep our weight back on our heels, keep our knees directly above our toes and not hanging beyond, and I'll demonstrate. I'll go straight from the body weight or resistance band squat to a what we call a lay down resistance band single leg squat. So we can lay down on our back, use a resistance band, and do a hip extension, knee extension that simulates a one-legged squat, but we're laying down. So we'll do body weight squat and laying back on our back, doing a single leg resistance band squat as a modified exercise to the body weight squat. So enjoy. All right, so what we have is body weight squat, first workout. As you can see, we're gonna have our feet and our knees shoulder width apart. Back straight, good posture. You can hold your hands wherever you like. This is where I prefer to hold them. Knees directly over the toes, not exceeding past the toes. I'll squat down again. I don't want my weight to be on my toes like so. All right, we want our weight on the heels, and we want to drive up back into the starting position using our heels. Boom, like so. Straight back, hamstrings and bottom parallel to the ground, and we can do 15 of those. For more endurance, for more strength, you can incorporate the resistance band, which we'll do soon, or you can do more. So we're increasing the volume. We are increasing the intensity. All right, so I'm just going to offset a little bit. Like a quarter position, just so you can get a better understanding, a different view. I want to incorporate this with my squats. If I'm able to do my 3 sets of squats, I want to incorporate my single leg press using my resistance band. So this is only going to add to the number of reps you're doing, but you're doing it with one leg. Notice that with this, I've got the resistance band anchored to the bottom of my foot where my arch is, and I'm holding the resistance bands with my elbow flexed at a 90-degree angle, and I'm holding the bands in position. Every time I'm pressing my leg out, I'm actually applying resistance to my biceps. So I'm working isometrically. Isometric is a muscle contraction where there's no distance being changed. So you notice that my hands are staying at 90 degrees, my arms are, right? We'll go ahead and switch legs and you'll see again. I'm actually performing an isometric bicep, just like so. You notice there. You could actually do a bicep workout like this. You could probably incorporate a bicep movement if you want. For now, we'll stick with the leg, but you're actually getting a 2-for, if you will. So that is your resistance band single leg press. All right, so that was exercise number 1 and 2. Exercise number 3, if you remember from KKJ workout number 1, we used the resistance bands to lay on our side and do hip abductions. Remember subtract, subtracting from the medium, the midline, all right? So anything moving away from the midline is subtracting, going away from, taking away from the midline. Adding to is adduction. So we used abduction, yesterday, or for KKJ number 1. Now we're going to use for KKJ number 2 our adduction. So we're going to bring our hip in. We're going to anchor a resistance band to an object and add to the midline, and you'll see exactly what I mean. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate the exercise, and then I'll come back mic'd up later on to commentary on the movement. All right, so for the next exercise, we've got our anchored hip abduction. Notice that I'm going to anchor my resistance band, loop it around a couple times, the light pole. You can use any object you want. And then we're going to tie the loop band handles together. And then we'll place our foot inside the loop that we've created. You can use a loop band if you have one that's big enough. You can either anchor your arm to the pole itself for stability so that you don't lose your balance. I'll show you kind of a naked way to do it, like without holding on to anything for balance. And what you'll see is where my right hand is, or left hand, above and behind your gluteus maximus. That's the muscle I'm most looking for to benefit. It's the anchored muscle. So on my right buttocks behind me, and you'll see later on, I'll point at it, I believe. But this is your piriformis, and this is what I'm worried about. We have these balancing muscles, and right there, that's what we want to target. Yes, we're moving our left leg, that's moving the resistance band, but we're also focusing on those balancing muscles on the opposite leg, and you will feel your piriformis especially will be fatigued after this, and it won't be from the adduction movement. Okay, it's going to be from the other side. It's going to be from the anchored leg. Your leg wants to rotate to keep itself balanced, and because you're anchored, that muscle's firing, but it's not producing any movement in any direction, but it's still firing. So you're getting like an isometric contraction of the left butt area above and behind the gluteus maximus. You'll see, or you will feel by now, and I especially feel it when I let go. All right. So my body wants to maintain balance, and you can see my body kind of going off balance there, but that piriformis muscle is very important in terms of our posture, our hip alignment with our pelvis, and yeah, we want that to be strong. We definitely, that's going to be a major muscle when it comes to balance. All right, so for the next exercise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a resistance band. I'm going to use a medium. You can use a medium or heavy. You can use light, whatever your preference is. We want it to be challenging. We want to feel muscle fatigue when we do the next workouts. We're going to do bicep curls with resistance bands, and we're also going to do resistance band shoulder press. I'm going to demonstrate how to utilize the resistance band. Pay attention closely to how I anchor it to my body and or anchor it to the ground. I'm going to be standing on the resistance band and pulling up using my bicep muscles, and I'm also going to be using my shoulder, my deltoids, to press up. That's your shoulder press, and I'll go ahead and demonstrate, and then I'll come back on later on mic'd up, giving commentary on each exercise movement. All right, so for the next exercise, we have resistance band bicep curls. We're going to anchor the resistance band under our standing feet. This is under 1 foot for now. You'll see me do a rendition with 2 feet. All right, so this is going to be a 1-arm bicep curl. I noticed that the upper arm is pointing more or less directly to the ground. That's going to be what you call a hammer. Notice I changed the grip. That's a hammer grip. You can go back. If the resistance band's longer and you're a shorter person, you can grip right like so, or lower the grip if you want to provide yourself more resistance, more weight. And so notice I'm not making any extracurricular movements there where I'm just pointing. So my tricep, my bicep, notice, see, that's a bad go. That's a no-go, as I was showing. So we want to isolate those muscle groups and specifically work the bicep muscle while keeping our upper arm pointed directly to the ground. Notice if I want more resistance, I can add more of the band under another foot, right? So I'm taking up more of the resistance space. We just want to make sure, as you can see, that I'm making sure that the band is even so that we are getting the same exact pull, the same resistance on both arms. This is a 2-arm curl, so if you want to coordinate movements, you can do 2 or 1. And it looks like I'm going to go hammer curl. There you go. So I change positions. And this probably would improve your grip strength a little bit. I wouldn't focus on this one if I were doing that, but let's change from a different angle, from a side angle again, the left side this time. So right now I'm breathing out and then breathing in. Breathing out during the push. Breathe out and then breathe in. Breathe out and then breathe out. We're done. Now, if you want more resistance, this is a heavy band. The dark blue band is going to be the heavy band. If you do want more resistance, you can go ahead. You've got the resistance band under both legs. You can keep them under both legs or switch back to 1, but you're going to grab both grips with the same arm. And so that's going to increase the resistance. Bigger biceps, bigger guns. And then if you reach your arm across like I like to do, just to ensure that those muscles that I'm trying to work are in fact working. Seeing it's not good enough. You got to feel it too. All right, now switching straight over from the resistance band bicep curl to the shoulder press. We're going to assume a kneeling position. Now notice my core, notice my hips, my rib cage area, everything's aligned. I'm actually working my core to maintain that alignment because my body wants to fold at this particular time, and I have to maintain. You saw I just swayed. I have to maintain my posture here. I want to be straight up and down because if you look, the resistance band's pulling me at an angle backwards, not just straight up and down. So you can see that my upper body, especially my arms, they were kind of pulling or pushing rather forward. And that's because of the vector direction of the band. So great core workout. This is a shoulder workout predominantly. Our deltoids, our trapezius, and there's your shoulder press. Core and shoulders. All right, I hope we're feeling our biceps and our traps and deltoids at this point. We should feel a little muscular fatigue, even though it's only the second workout of our program. That's fine. Moving forward, if you remember earlier in the workout, we did our hip adduction. We added to the midline. KKJ workout number 1, we abducted and went away from the midline, went away, abducted, And we're gonna do a lateral strafe with resistance bands, which is a way to manipulate your hip. You're gonna be abducting the hip, going away. We're gonna do a side-to-side movement. I'll go ahead and demonstrate, and then I'll come back in later on mic'd up for commentary on the exercise movement. The next exercise, we've got resistance band lateral strafe. We are going to abduct our hips in a lateral motion. As you can see, I've got the resistance band wrapped around the bottom portion of my knee. You can put it above. I like to go below or away from the joint, the hip in this case, the joint that we're working, and it creates more resistance. Better workout, more intense, right? So I'm moving from side to side laterally. Back is straight. I'm reaching, I'm reaching, I'm reaching. I'm keeping my feet relatively shoulder width apart, back to the starting position. And then I'm gonna reach. This is a side angle. As you can see, my legs are slightly bent. All right, kind of like a basic warrior stance. I'll keep my hands up just for good balance. I'm always on the ready. All of these workouts are gonna come at a risk to fall. We don't wanna do that, so we be patient, take our time, and be balanced. All right, so for the next exercise, we are going to do 2 for 1 here. We're gonna do a resistance band hip flexion and a resistance band hip manipulation, all right? And these are gonna be very simple. We're gonna anchor the resistance band to ourselves, and we're gonna perform hip flexion and hip extension. This is part of your hip manipulation. So we're gonna do the hip extension, hip manipulation, and then after, for the next exercise, we will do the hip manipulation, which we did in KKJ workout number 1, if you remember, where we're standing upright and we're manipulating one leg while maintaining balance on the other. This is going to be your foundation for balance, flexibility, range of motion. These are all foundational principles, right, of I Motivate Me. So we're going to work on these things. So we're going to start with a loop band hip flex. We're going to use a loop band, resistance band, right? And we're going to anchor to ourselves, do a hip flex and a hip extension, and then we'll go into the hip manipulation, our bread and butter, if you remember. All right, for the next exercise, we have the resistance band hip flexion, and then I'm going to roll right into hip extension with the resistance band as well. But as you can see, I've got the resistance band anchored to the foot that's on the ground, just under the foot, and it's also wrapped around the foot that's moving, my left leg and my left foot. And I'm just flexing the hip forward. So this is a hip flexion, and then in the opposite direction would be an extension. And we're going to target those hip flexors. This is for balance. Now, keep this in mind. It's not all about the leg that's moving. It's about the leg that's stationary as well, because you're spending time with only one leg on the ground. So we are improving our balance and we are improving our core strength while doing such workouts. So we're just gonna switch feet. I want this movement, and I did it facing forward for your benefit and mine as well, so I can also look to see how I'm doing it, because I want to ensure that my leg is moving in as vertical a motion as possible, straight up and down. You want to track that hip properly. Side angle, we want a full range of motion from the standing position. I like to move my hands like that. It keeps me balanced. It's a natural locomotion for our body. Straight into the hip extension. As you can see, the anchor situation with the band, the right leg that's stationary, the band is directly above the sockless ankle. I highly recommend wearing longer socks for such occasions, because that resistance band is made of rubber and it will pull your leg hair out, if you have leg hair. I'll struggle for a second to switch it up. There's no hurry. Take your time with this equipment. It can be awkward even for folks who aren't awkward. I am an awkward person. All right, so we're extending directly up, right? Keeping the rest of the body stationary, and we're working the gluteus maximus. And then straight from there, what we like to do is our hip manipulation. Since we've done our hip extension and our hip flexion, why not continue with a range of both? I'm doing both at the same time. I can raise my weight above my head, keep it below. You're just placing the weight in different locations, which allows your body to adapt, and those muscles that are responsible for balance can then balance. See, I'm switching the legs. The leg's not going directly up. I need to work on that. That's something new for me that I'm noticing. And as we switch, now we're going to hip abduction, which, again, we just did our lateral strafe, and so that's hip abduction as well. This is, you're balancing on one foot. You don't want to lose count. You don't want to lose focus. I think you're going to see here, I'm going to look up at a plane. It's flying very low in the city. Look. Okay, and then I lose focus and balance here. Right? There it is. We do not want to lose balance. All right, 9 down, 1 to go. The final exercise that we're going to do for KKJ number 2 is the laying down anchored body twist. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate. We're going to use body weight. We're going to anchor our arms to an object to hold ourselves stable. And then we're going to do a windshield wiper motion while on the ground, either with our legs bent, which is a for beginners or for intermediate skill and strength, or you straighten your legs all the way out and then you do a windshield wiper that way. Some people call them around the world. They're basically a lower trunk twist, keeping our upper trunk, our thoracic area in position, our thoracic rib cage on the ground. Again, I'll demonstrate and then I'll come back in later on mic'd up for commentary. But if we cannot do these, we stop. If they're gonna hurt you, we stop. But this is what's going to strengthen your core ultimately. This is in honor of my man, Jimmy Malachowski. I call these Jimmy burners. If you're hanging from an advanced level, what we'll do is we'll hang from parallel bars up in the air, make sure our backs are parallel to the ground, and then do them that way. I started out being able to do like 1 set of 5, and then I would have to give up and jump off. Now I do about 3 sets. I could probably do 3 sets of 40 or 50 actually. And that greatly improved my balance, my core strength, and it makes it easier for me to go endeavor into different training regimens and transition from one to another depending on what I want to do, because I have the foundational strength. This is it. This last workout, there's one thing to pay attention to and to be able to do even at your age. It is this twist. All right, so again, I'll demonstrate, come back in mic'd up for the commentary. The final exercise we have is the anchored body weight twist. As you can see, I've got the box behind me above my head and I'm laying flat. I want to keep my knees bent if I'm a beginner. I want my shoulder blades to remain on the ground for as long as possible. You notice that I'm going to switch here, and that's because that box was very narrow, so I need to widen my base. So I went ahead and sprawled my arms out, and I want to keep my abs engaged. I want to keep my knees bent. Again, if I'm a beginner, you'll see me straighten the legs out here. For more advanced, it makes it more difficult for heavier weight. Finish those up, and this completes our workout.